Hi, I'm Kale Luhrman here at Control Studios in Houston, Texas. We are the Houston host for Alicia Ungaro's Real Pilates, and I am coming to you for our RP Advent calendar. Today I'm going to be working with you on some foot and ankle alignment things. So I got into Pilates originally after a knee injury from some long distance running training, and I got really interested in foot and ankle alignment, and as we all know, the teacher's job is alignment, and so we're going to talk about alignment in the foot and the ankle today and working foot and ankle strengthening. So we're going to start with a couple of little props. I have with me a Spalding high bounce ball and just a kind of a, I think it's probably like a wine cloth, one of those that you like clean your wine glasses with. Any towel will do, and also you could use like a folded up pair of socks, a tennis ball, even one of those like stress squishy balls that you can use sometimes that are in stockings and stuff this time of year. This is going to be in place of the foot corrector. So if you have access to a foot corrector, absolutely pull that out. We're gonna start with 2 of the foot corrector exercises here, and then we're gonna get moving into some more workout things. So you're gonna start by putting this or your little rolled up pair of socks underneath your foot. It's gonna go right underneath the joint of your big toe. And you'll leave your heel on the ground. You'll take your favorite offset stance, so take your back leg back. You can take hands to your hips or however you need to balance. If you need to place your hand on something, that works too. You'll lift your toes and spread them as far apart as you can, getting as much space between your toes as you can. And then as you exhale, you're gonna wrap the toes around the back edge of the ball and try to push and compress the ball into the ground. You'll inhale and lift. And then you'll exhale and press into the ball, wrapping the toes around the back. Try to keep your toes long and not really bunch the toes up. Inhale, lift. And exhale, press and wrap. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale, lift and spread your toes. And exhale, press and wrap the toes around the back edge of the ball or your socks, whatever you've got, or your foot corrector. If you have a foot corrector, you know how challenging those heavier springs are. And last one, inhale, lift. And exhale, press and wrap the toes around the back edge of the ball. Then the thing I like about using the socks or the ball instead, if you're at home, is that you can then move it to a different part of the foot. So I'll move it to that pinky toe side of my foot, and I'll do the same thing. Again, this front knee is bent, back leg is as straight as you can manage. Lift the toes on the inhale, and then exhale, press and wrap the toes around the back edge of the ball. Inhale, lift. And then you release the compression of the ball or the socks, and then you exhale, press and smash the ball or the socks into the ground as you wrap your toes. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press. And last 2. Inhale, lift and spread. And exhale, press and wrap around the back. Then you're gonna move yourself, and I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see this. You want the ball to go directly under the heel of your foot. I'm gonna place my towel here. So you'll place that directly under your heel. Again, you'll be in that offset stance. This is the heel version of your foot corrector exercises. So if you've done those, you know. You keep space, or not space, but just no pressure in the ball to start. And then as you exhale, you press the heel down, being careful not to shift your weight forward to do it, but really pressing the heel into the ball. And then you inhale, lift. Really make sure to spread your toes on the ground, and exhale, press your heel down, hugging abdominals in and up, finding that powerhouse connection. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more, inhale and exhale. Good, and then we'll switch to the other side. I'll do this one from the side so you can see the sideways version of the foot. Again, it's right underneath that joint of the big toe. The front knee is bent, the back leg is straight. Feet can be slightly kind of on your Pilates stance, especially the back leg. The front leg could be parallel or it could be a little turned out. Play with what feels most stable for you here. Inhale as you lift and spread the toes, and exhale, press and wrap the toes around the back edge of the ball. Inhale, lift, and exhale, press and wrap. And as you're pressing and wrapping, really drawing the abdominals into the spine, pushing into that back leg, really working your posture here. Inhale, lift and spread the toes. And exhale, press and wrap the toes around the back edge. 2 more, inhale, lift. And exhale, press and wrap. Last one, inhale, lift. You should feel the arches by now, hopefully. And exhale, press and wrap the toes. And then again, we shift it to that pinky toe side. And we do the same thing here. Inhale, lift and spread the toes. And exhale, press and wrap. And inhale, lift and spread. And exhale, press and wrap, really feeling like that little suction cup sensation of the middle of your foot. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press and wrap. The arch pulls up into the middle of the foot. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press and wrap. Last one. Inhale, lift the toes, spread them out. Exhale, press and wrap. Abdominals hugging in. Deep exhale, and then release that. We'll move to the heel. So I step forward a little bit. I'll move my heel to the center of the ball, making sure I've got that nice offset stance. No weight on the heel just yet. Keep the heel nice and lifted. The ball is just hovering there underneath your heel. Spread your toes out so you get that nice wide foot base. And then exhale, press the heel down, lifting the arch up into the center of the foot. Inhale, release the action in the foot, softer foot. Exhale, push the heel down, draw the abdominals in and up, draw the arch in and up just as much as the abdominals. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. And exhale, press the heel down, abdominals and powerhouse in and up, arch in and up. You could even think of the arch of your foot as the powerhouse of your foot. Last one, inhale. And exhale, press the heel down, lift the arch up into the center of the foot. And that is it for this little sweet pink ball. There's a lot you can do with this. I love it. I think the more that we use our feet, the better and stronger our feet are, and the better they are able to support us, especially in our standing work in Pilates. So if that is one of your goals, don't leave your feet out. I'm gonna set aside the ball now, and I'm gonna pull out my other prop, which is, we have these in the studio. I got them off of Amazon. Really, just any towel will work. You're probably familiar with these little exercises. We're gonna do the toe scrunches with the towel. So I set the towel out in front of me. I'm gonna sit on one of our reformers here. You can sit on a bench or a chair at home, whatever you can find that will give you a comfortable seat. You wanna be able to really feel your sit bones sit right down into whatever you're sitting on and be able to sit upright. So you don't wanna be slumping back, right? Posture is important here. I'll put my hands down just to kind of support myself here. You can also do this 1 foot at a time. I'm gonna do both feet at the same time, but if this feels really challenging doing both feet, do 1 foot at a time. So you're gonna lift and spread the toes just like before, and you're gonna reach and grab and pull the towel in. Lift and spread and reach and grab and pull. Lift and spread and reach and grab and pull. And it can be a little tricky, so just keep working with it. Really work that lift and that spread and that drag and that scoop of the arch until you come all the way in. You can see one side might be more than the other. That might mean, you have some ability to work the 2-to-1 ratio here. You could do 1 foot more than the other if it feels like this is harder on 1 foot than the other. You'll bring it all the way in. We're almost there. And then once you feel like you've gotten your towel all the way bunched up, you're gonna push it back out. So you'll push the towel away and start to unbunch all of those little creases that you made in your towel. Really working the arch of the foot here, getting as much movement as you can in your foot. That's really the goal, is how much can I move my foot here. We've got all of those bones in our feet. If you've ever seen like those little skeletons of our body, there are so many bones, so many joints in our feet. And when we have our feet in shoes all day, that they don't get a lot of movement. So it's really important for us to add that into our mix of our workout. All right, I'm gonna fold this up and put it to the side, and we're gonna do a quick 100 here. So this is a version of the 100 that I like to do for anyone who really can't be on their back if they're experiencing vertigo, maybe in prenatal. We're gonna move to the wall for this one. So you'll find the wall. And just like all our wall work within the RP syllabus, you can kind of take your feet a little further away from the wall, maybe, 2 to 3 feet. The further away from the wall you take your feet, the more support you're gonna get and the more stability. So play with where you want your feet to be for this. I'm gonna start right here, pushing back into the wall. I'm gonna start by aligning my head, and then I'm gonna push into the toes and lift the heels up a little bit here. You can do this with your feet on the ground, but I like the work that this does in my ankles and my calves. You can also do this parallel if that's a better position for you. I'm gonna start by curling my head and shoulders off the wall. Again, this is an option. You don't have to do that. You could stay stacked against the wall, and then I'm gonna start my pumping. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. And exhale. Really work your wrap and your squeeze. 2 more breaths. Last breath. You'll bring your hands to a stop, lower your heels, stack yourself back up for that moment of length, and then you can press yourself away from the wall. Okay, now we're gonna move into some single leg work. I do recommend, if you would like to have something in front of you, maybe a chair, maybe a bench, something to help you find support. I'm gonna use one of our short boxes, but you absolutely don't need that. This is just gonna help me have a little bit of a base of support. Yoga blocks can be really good because they change how high they are, so that can give you some options, but also just a dining room chair works too. So you're gonna start standing on one foot, and this is kind of like an arabesque, like our arabesques on the reformer, but we're gonna do them here on the mat since we're at home and we might be traveling for the season. So you'll start by just picking up one foot and working on the stability of that foot. You can take a look down and look, and I'll put my little joggers here so you can see. We wanna see equal amounts of the ankle bone on either side of the foot. And that can be kind of hard to see if you're from the side, so I'm gonna show you here, right? I have this tendency, and this is my knee that kind of got me into Pilates, to, as you can see here, kind of drop in, and you can see that ankle bone is a little more prominent on the inner edge of my foot. So my work here is to push into my foot and work some of that arch lifting, and I might set my other foot down to kind of help, and really work the lift of this middle part of my arch so that I get somewhat closer to equal amounts of ankle bone on either side while I'm in that standing leg. And then I'm gonna lean forward and maybe take my legs straight out behind me. You can reach down and grab hold of your blocks if you need them or not, and you can work that same lift here. My tendency again is to kind of like, you can see that's my natural one, is to drop my ankle bone a little bit more in. So I'm just working that lift of that arch here, and then I'm gonna come back, up to standing upright. And that's the fun of it, right? That recalibration from losing your balance is actually really helpful in strengthening. So don't be afraid to wobble here. There's a lot of wobbling. And then you're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna go out to that same arabesque. This is our arabesque one, right? Square hips, working our hips as squarely as we can. Maybe you reach down and grab hold of whatever prop you have to help you. And then I'm gonna come back to that standing. It might help to draw your knee in first as you come back to that standing upright, working that wobble. There my ankle goes. I'm trying to pull it up and across so that I get that nice neutral ankle. And I really feel this in my arch. I hope you're starting to feel that too. It's a lot of fun. We'll do that 3 more times. Going out to that, arabesque one, working that nice neutral ankle. I'm trying to spread my toes out as much as possible, but not grab the ground with my toes. And then I really feel that nice hip activity to help support. We'll do 2 more. I like to inhale as I go out into the arabesque, and exhale as I come up. I'll do my last one from the side here just so you can kind of watch from that position, working my hips as square as I can. Hopefully you see that. Inhaling as I go forward, try to keep the chest bright, the spine long. You can feel all kinds of like one hip longer than the other here. Really have fun with it. Try not to judge too much, but just take notes on yourself, and then exhale, come up. The last thing to note is always keep a little bit of a softness or bend in your knee. Locking out the knee is not gonna help here. Really soften that knee and think of that like external, that spiral, right? That wrap from our Pilates stance is really helpful here. We're gonna do the second foot. Actually, let me do it from this way. That way y'all can see it. Okay, so we're gonna start working this position here. Softness in my knee, length in my spine. I'm gonna tilt forward, keeping my hips square, working my box. Stretch the leg out behind you. Maybe reach down for your prop. Take a moment here to kind of stabilize. And then use your exhale to lift the arch and hug the abdominals in as you come up to standing. You can even add a little lift of the leg here if you want that little extra bit of hip flexion. Inhaling as you go forward. And exhaling as you come up. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhaling as we go forward. Exhaling as we come up, really playing with that foot, finding that suction cup sensation from our footwork with the the pink ball or the foot corrector. And we'll do 2 more. Inhaling and exhaling, softness in the knee, working my wrap, working the lift of your arch. Last and final one. Inhale and exhale. Scoop abdominals, scoop foot. Maybe you have to do a little roundabout to get back up, and that's okay. Beautiful work. Okay, the last single foot thing we're gonna do here before we tie it all together is moving from an arabesque 1 to an arabesque 2. So we're going from that square hip to that open hip. So I'll start with my left foot here. And I usually like to start with I call it my lucky foot. You might call it your weaker foot, but I like to give it a little love. So the foot that needs just a little bit more time to figure out things, because I like to revisit it and do that 2-to-1 ratio with it. So I'm gonna start with my lucky foot. I'm gonna take myself out into my arabesque position. Soft in the knee again, long in the spine. And then I'm gonna start to rotate that hip open, keeping my hip square, but rotating my hip open. Now here is where I really want to lose the lift of my arch, right? I want my kind of drop my ankle in, my knee wants to go in. So I work my wrap of my thigh, I work the lift of that arch, I work the lift of the back leg, and I am not a dancer, so this is a lot for my body, but it's still fun and still worthwhile even if you are not the dancer. And then I close that rotation, and then I lift back up. Yeah, and see, with a couple of reps, like it gets a little bit more informed, so the leg gets a little easier. You'll go back out into that arabesque 1, hips are square, eyes are forward, and then we start to wrap the thigh and lift the arches. We stack and open and lift and reach through that back leg. We close, and we come back up. And you can break this down and just do the opening and the closing if that feels better for you, if you need a little more time there. So that would look more like we open, I try to keep my shoulders square while my hips open, my back leg lifts, I still work the wrap, and then I would close. And then I would open, working that base standing foot, and then I would close. And I'll come back up, we'll do 1 more like that. I'm gonna go all the way out into that first arabesque 1, playing with all the wobbles all the time, trying to find that nice neutral ankle we were working on. I'm gonna work the wrap and the squeeze, the lift of my arch as I open, 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 the hips up and reach through the back leg. And then I'm gonna close that opening of the hip, and I'm gonna come all the way back up. We're gonna work the other leg. Okay, we'll go from this side. So we hinge forward. We find our arabesque 1. Again, here's where we really want to find the lift of the arch. That outer edge of the foot, especially right in front of the heel, is a really helpful place to send all of your weight bearing to. And then we'll close. We find them square hips again. And then we work to come and stand up, and it's hit or miss sometimes. And we hinge forward. And we open the hips, we work that foot. Sometimes when we work the lift of the arch, this part of the foot wants to lift off, so pay attention to that little spot. We close that opening, and we come back up. And then I think on the other side, we did a couple where we didn't come back up, so we'll do that here too, because that is an option for you. Press into that forefoot, and the heel, lift the arch. Wrap the upper thigh, think of your Pilates stance here, open, and close. And open, twist, working through the hips, keeping the shoulders squaring towards your ground, your box, whatever you're working, and close. And one more time, we'll open. Reaching through both legs, keeping an ever so soft bend in the knee. And then we'll come back up. We'll do 1 more on this leg, and I'm sweating. I hope you guys are too. Holding forward, embracing all the wobbles, just looking down at that ankle every once in a while to see if you've got a nice neutral ankle. Opening. Keep scooping the abdominals in, close that twist. I get all the yummy stretches and sensations in that hip, and then we'll come back up. All right, so that is the end of our single leg work here. We're gonna finish with just a couple of squats, because who doesn't need squats? I will say if you have a pair of weights, that might be a little helpful here, especially when we're trying to work our Pilates squat, so you can grab those. I'm gonna grab a set really quick. These are 3s. You can use 1s, 2s. You could use 2 wine bottles because it's the holidays and we have extras of those around, so you grab whatever works for you. And then we're gonna think palms facing up. That's gonna help us open up our collarbones a little, soften in the elbows, just like if you were working that bar squat, right? If we're doing our standing squats on the back of the Cadillac, take a little bend in the elbows, sit the hips back, trying to keep your spine upright. Think softening and sinking the feet into the ground, chest back over your hips. Exhale, lift the arches as you come back up. Inhale, sinking low. Exhale, chest up, eyes up, lifting the arches as you come back up. Inhale to sit low. Exhale, lift the arches to lift your body up. We'll do 4 more. Inhale. And exhale, lift, get tall. Last 3. And stand and get tall. 2 more. If you need a little more assistance, see how I can go a little lower with my hands forward. You can play with where the weights are in space. That's the nice thing about free weights here. And last and final one. Inhale, sink and sit low. Take a moment here to really feel your feet sink into the ground. Get really nice and soft. And then work that contraction of your arch. Push the balls of the feet into the ground. Push the heels into the ground. Lift the arches to stand up. Big inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale them down. And you guys are done. Thank you again for joining me. Happy holidays from all of us here at Control, and we hope to see you very soon.